Sheldon. There's a legitimate hatred there. If you guys have heard this Ohio State team, this 2023 Ohio State team hated that Iowa team. Like, you guys don't understand. If you guys, I looked back on this. If you guys don't remember, way back in like earlier on in the year, Cody McMahon was.
The basketball community demands accountability following what many consider an unprovoked assault on Caitlin Clark during a recent WNBA matchup. Objective analysis of the incident reveals that Jacy Sheldon's actions crossed the line from competitive basketball into dangerous territory, warranting significant disciplinary measures from league officials. Basketball enthusiasts worldwide are expressing unprecedented anger over Sheldon's deliberate targeting of Clark throughout the contest. The frustration has reached critical levels as supporters call for meaningful financial penalties against Sheldon for her reckless conduct that threatened the career of women's basketball's premier attraction.
Game a while ago, you could see that dust up coming from a mile away. Of course you could. Of course you could. And Sophie Cunningham actually acted as an enforcer. Like, Caitlin Clark has the enforcer. And shout out to Caitlin Clark Report for using this picture. For using this picture, like. But, like, when you've got one of the least, like, opinionated, a lot going on the W at the moment. When you've got, like, Alexa Philippou tweeting about this. Like, when you've got it. And, by the way,
the animosity between Sheldon and Clark extends back several years to their collegiate careers. Sheldon consistently guarded Clark in one-on-one situations while also participating in double-team defensive schemes. Throughout the game, verbal exchanges and confrontational behavior escalated between the two players. The tension culminated when Clark delivered a decisive three-pointer while staring down Sheldon, essentially demonstrating her dominance despite the aggressive defensive pressure. Clark's shot from her preferred position near the free throw line extended served as a statement to both Sheldon and the Connecticut bench, energizing the crowd with her defiant response.
Was coming out there talking about Iowa disrespectful and she wanted to cook Iowa, which is basically the old Iowa team, not this current Iowa team. Because again, Cody McMahon had 45 points against Iowa. But this isn't Cody McMahon, this is Jacy Sheldon, who was Caitlin Clark's direct matchup in these games. Like, I tweeted out, forget Angel, forget Dejanay, this is Caitlin Clark's one true rival.
The competitive history between these players stems from their college days, where Sheldon's Ohio State team harbored genuine animosity toward Clark's Iowa squad. This collegiate rivalry has clearly carried over into their professional careers, creating what many consider Clark's most intense competitive relationship in the WNBA. During what appeared to be a routine defensive play, Sheldon deliberately struck Clark in the eye with her finger. This action posed serious risks to the league's most valuable player, potentially causing permanent vision damage. The incident became more concerning due to Sheldon's visible satisfaction immediately following the attack, suggesting premeditated intent rather than accidental contact.
Hey, people coming in saying your league's a damn joke. No one can deny it. No one can deny it. The commentators were saying it was a bad look for the league. And no, by the way, the commentators weren't saying what Mabry did was a bad look for the league. What Mabry did happens. What Jacy Sheldon did, Jacy Sheldon is a reckless, dirty player, but it happens. It happens. Sophie Cunningham is Sophie Cunningham. You know what's going to happen. You let Marina Mabry away with it. You put
Video evidence from multiple angles confirms that Sheldon's actions constituted a calculated assault rather than legitimate basketball defense. The replay footage shows Sheldon deliberately extending her reach toward Clark's face, far from any basketball-related movement or attempt to steal the ball. Following the initial eye contact, Sheldon continued her aggressive behavior by grabbing Clark's arm and digging her fingernails into the skin, creating additional injuries that went unnoticed by the officiating crew. The situation deteriorated further when Marina Mabry joined the attack by shoving Clark from behind while she was still recovering from the eye injury.
And if you guys don't know the whole situation, in college, Jacy Sheldon, as far as I'm aware, might have been the only player. Well, I think Ohio State might have been the only player to have had a winning record over 4 years against Iowa. And it is, like, that's the thing. And I understand college is college, pros is pros. But at the end of the day, these two players, you can hate a player from college and you still hate them in the pros. Like, it's not like it's
The incident triggered an immediate social media firestorm, with fans demanding severe punishment for Sheldon's actions. Within hours, the hashtag targeting Sheldon began trending across multiple platforms as Clark supporters flooded social media with criticism of the unprofessional conduct. Comments ranged from questioning Sheldon's place in professional basketball to calling for her removal from the league entirely. The backlash reflected years of accumulated frustration over Clark's treatment by opponents and the league's inadequate response to protect their biggest star.
Keep Jacy Sheldon on the floor and Sophie Cunningham's there. What did they think was going to happen? What did they think was going to happen? This was all on the referees. The commentators, all they did was talk about the referees. All they did was talk about the refs. You got Van Shea, the refs are atrocious. Nobody is blaming Sophie Cunningham for that. Everyone is blaming the refs. All the refs had to do was their job. All the refs had to do is their job.
Mainstream media personalities also joined the outcry, with prominent figures using their platforms to directly address WNBA leadership about the need to protect Clark. When entertainment industry figures publicly criticize the league's failures, it demonstrates how the problem has transcended basketball and entered mainstream consciousness. Understanding the severity of allowing attacks on Clark requires examining her unprecedented economic contribution to the WNBA. Financial analysis reveals that Clark generated approximately 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity during her rookie season alone, despite earning only $76,535 in salary.
It's a rivalry. It's a team rivalry. It's not like I'm judging. Not like because Jacy Sheldon won against Caitlin Clark that it doesn't mean that Jacy Sheldon's a better player. But at the end of the day, it happened. And then you've also got this game that happened here in 2023. Caitlin Clark against Ohio State. She had 28, 15, and 10, beating the number 2 ranked team in the nation, the under.
Projections for the current season estimate that Clark could produce nearly $1 billion in total economic impact for the league. This astronomical figure represents more than the entire previous history of women's professional basketball combined, making her protection not just morally imperative but financially essential. The disparity between Clark's economic contribution and her compensation highlights the league's dependence on her success. When a single player generates such massive revenue while earning a fraction of that amount, allowing her to be targeted becomes both ethically wrong and economically catastrophic.
You have got the commentators who are being paid by a team, basically not even just blaming the refs for the situation. You have got, like, if you're looking, all you have to do right now, you've got scouts, like legitimate, like, basketball scouts for prep hoops, talking about the refs continuing to be an embarrassment. You've got everything. You've got Kathy.
The WNBA's disciplinary response to the Sheldon incident has proven wholly insufficient. Sheldon received only a flagrant 1 foul, carrying an automatic fine of $200. Mabre's actions resulted in a flagrant 2 upgrade, bringing her fine to. These penalties amount to less than most people spend on entertainment in a single evening. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham, who defended Clark during the incident, received both a flagrant 2 foul during the game and an additional undisclosed fine from the league office. This backwards punishment system sends a clear message. Attacking Clark results in minimal consequences, while defending her brings multiple penalties.
Defeated Ohio State. But if you guys don't remember what happened after that game, this is what happened. So, I couldn't find this picture anywhere. But if you guys know what this is the dub chain. This is Caitlin Clark after a game on a commercial flight by the looks of things. Those were the days. But this is like somebody.
The current fine structure fails to serve as any meaningful deterrent. Players can easily absorb 200 to 400 penalties from their regular expenses, making such punishment ineffective in preventing future incidents. Basketball supporters are actively organizing to demand significant changes to the league's disciplinary approach. Multiple petitions have emerged calling for substantially increased penalties, with hundreds of signatures accumulating rapidly. Fans are specifically demanding fines in the tens of thousands of dollars, arguing that anything less than a significant portion of a player's salary fails to provide adequate deterrence. Some proposals include directing portions of fines directly to Clark as compensation for the systematic targeting she endures.
The Engelbert being called out, you've got the refs, you've got you got, obviously, regardless of what you want to say, regardless of whether or not you like Robin Lundberg, I think he does a hell of a job. He's just not anti-Caitlin. He's just more pro-Caitlin than anti-Caitlin. Open season on Caitlin Clark continues. Not wrong. He's not wrong. You've got Christine Brennan, who is, again, one of the legitimate tippity top.
The reasoning behind these demands stems from sound financial and safety logic. If Sheldon's attack had caused permanent damage to Clark's vision, the WNBA could have lost hundreds of millions in revenue. From a business perspective, the current approach to protecting their most valuable asset makes no economic sense. Clark's arrival has transformed franchise valuations across the league. The Indiana Fever's worth jumped from $90 million to $340 million in just 1 year, representing a $250 million increase attributable primarily to Clark's presence. When this level of financial impact is at stake, $200 fines for attacking the responsible player become not just inadequate, but financially irresponsible.
Who, Cody McMahon, again, literally called out Iowa because of something Caitlin Clark did realistically. Because of something from Caitlin Clark. And this t-shirt right here, if you guys don't know, this is a t-shirt they gave to every single person in the crowd during this game. And with Iowa snapping their undefeated streak, they were 15-4 on the year in 2023.
Clark's influence extends beyond direct revenue generation to encompass attendance figures, television ratings, and merchandise sales. Teams struggle to sell tickets without her presence. Television viewership triples when she plays, and entire cities modify their venues to accommodate the crowds she attracts. Beyond increased fines for attackers, supporters increasingly argue that Clark deserves direct compensation for the systematic targeting she endures. The logic is straightforward. If a player faces unprecedented levels of physical aggression directly related to her massive value to the league, she merits financial recognition beyond her standard salary.
Greatest female sports journalist of all time. And this is before even yet. The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. Terrible decision to allow Marina Mabrey to stay in the game. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see. Why do you think WNBA is allowing this kind of whistle? I feel like competition passion's there. They don't need to leave a soft whistle. But then they'll eject Sophie Cunningham for something less egregious. They will eject Sophie Cunningham for something less egregious. They will eject Lindsay Allen for something.
Clark's current salary represents a fraction of her economic contribution. She earned $78,000 this season while generating nearly $1 billion in economic activity, creating a return on investment that exceeds virtually any other professional athlete. Some fans propose a protection bonus system where players committing flagrant fouls against Clark must pay percentages of their salaries directly to her. Others suggest the league itself should provide additional compensation for enduring treatment that far exceeds normal basketball competition. The fan outrage reflects consistent failures by WNBA referees to adequately protect Clark during games. Obvious fouls are routinely ignored, flagrant attacks are downgraded to common fouls, and Clark faces penalties for defending herself against aggressive opponents.
And this was the historic year they ended up having. They snapped her on the feeder streak. Caitlin Clark robbed a t-shirt and took a picture with it. So there's an article here, the big advantage Ohio State women have over Iowa in the Big Ten tournament final. Even the Buckeyes number 2 to focus at Big Ten from large media outlets. The focus of the Big Ten from large media outlets rest upon Clark. And people said no one knew who Clark was till that, I guess. But took a few weeks to get it back. It said here,
when officials fail to provide appropriate in-game protection, the league office must impose post-game punishments severe enough to compensate for inadequate officiating. The current system rewards aggressive behavior toward Clark while penalizing those who defend her, creating a backwards incentive structure. This environment has made attacking the league's biggest star appear acceptable while protecting her results in ejections and fines. The system undermines the very player responsible for the league's financial success. Addressing this crisis requires acknowledging Clark's unique position position as the economic engine driving the entire WNBA. Protecting her transcends moral considerations to become a business necessity that should override all other factors.
Less egregious. Like, and by the way, like, this game showed so much of the bad sides. And like, you have got anyone watching this from a casual perspective calling out Marina Mabrey right now. And do you want to know what? I mean this when I say this. And I hate that I have to say this. Thank God everybody involved.
Sheldon's attack should result in fines of at least $25,000, with significant portions paid directly to Clark as compensation. This would establish clear consequences for targeting the league's premier player while providing appropriate recognition for the abuse she endures. Additionally, Sheldon should face multi-game suspensions to reinforce that such conduct will not be tolerated. The league must implement stricter penalties specifically for flagrant fouls against Clark. Acknowledging her economic importance to the organization, officials who fail to adequately protect Clark should face consequences for their inadequate performance. When referees allow systematic targeting without appropriate responses, they undermine the league's most valuable asset and threaten its financial stability.
That defeat undefeated run, and as Clark grabbed the dub chain giveaway t-shirt as her trophy, the Buckeyes form began to dip. She grabbed the t-shirt as a trophy. Like, people do not understand the demon that was Iowa Caitlin Clark. And like, everyone's like, oh, Caitlin Clark, it's no more nice Caitlin. She doesn't have to pretend to be nice. Man, Caitlin does not have to pretend to be nice. This is, I made a video about this and I was like, no one can bring out the demon like Jacy Sheldon.
The current officiating approach essentially invites aggressive behavior toward Clark by failing to impose meaningful consequences during games. This forces the league office to address problems that should be resolved through proper in-game officiating. The WNBA's failure to protect Clark endangers not only her individual career, but the league's entire financial foundation. Allowing unchecked aggression will only escalate targeting behavior, increasing the risk of serious injury to their most important player. International leagues, particularly in Europe, could offer Clark better protection, respect, and compensation than the WNBA currently provides. If the league continues undermining its biggest star, they risk losing her to organizations that properly value her contributions.
In this situation is white and blonde. Thank God. And this is the first time you will ever hear me reference that. This is the first time you'll ever hear me reference anything like that. Thank God. We're not going to see investigations. Thank God. Because we can actually talk about the situation that happened and not fake crowd noises. Because
Clark's fans demonstrate loyalty that transcends team affiliations, following her wherever she plays. This unique drawing power means other leagues could successfully build around her presence, potentially creating competition that threatens the WNBA's monopoly on top-level women's professional basketball. The solution requires the WNBA to acknowledge economic reality. Caitlin Clark represents more than just another talented player. She functions as the financial engine powering the entire league, making her protection a business necessity rather than merely a moral obligation. Implementing appropriate penalties for attacking Clark, while providing her with compensation commensurate with her economic contribution, would demonstrate the league's commitment to protecting its most valuable asset. This approach would serve both competitive balance and financial sustainability. The current crisis demands immediate action. Continued inaction risks not only Clark's physical safety, but the league's financial future. The WNBA must choose between protecting their golden goose or watching their unprecedented success disappear along with their biggest star.